There is a specific metric we use to decide if we're winning at life. If the bills are paid, the job is secure, and you are showing up for your responsibilities, the world tells you that you've made it. This level of functioning is the gold standard for success. We've been taught that as long as the external structure is stable, our internal world should be satisfied. But the math doesn't always add up. You can have a perfectly straight line on the outside, stability, order, routine, while experiencing a constant, erratic pull on the inside. It's a quiet whisper suggesting that survival isn't the same thing as being alive. This feeling usually waits for the silence. It hits when you're sitting in your apartment after everyone else has stopped calling, or when you're staring out the window at the same city streets you've walked 1,000 times before. Most of us try to solve this by gaslighting ourselves. We assume the emptiness is a sign of ingratitude or personal weakness. We remind ourselves that other people are struggling more, and we use that guilt to push the feeling back down. Mislabeling this ache as a character flaw keeps you stuck. You end up wasting your energy apologizing for a feeling that is actually trying to give you a vital piece of information. When that inner silence becomes too loud to ignore, the instinct is to drown it out. We look for anything that can provide enough noise to stop the thinking. We try the standard fixes. We stay busy, we plan a vacation, we buy something new, or spend hours scrolling through social media, hoping someone else's highlight reel will fill the gap in our own reality. These distractions work, but only for a moment. As soon as the shopping bags are put away or the phone screen goes dark, the same restlessness returns, often feeling heavier than it did before. This is a structural problem. You are trying to fill a soul-level deficit with surface-level patches. No amount of external movement can satisfy a hunger that exists on the inside. Continuing to apply these temporary fixes doesn't solve the problem. It just leaves you more exhausted and more convinced that something is wrong with you. We tend to dismiss this friction as a random psychological malfunction. That diagnosis is incomplete. This discomfort is an awakening, the moment the soul starts to recognize its own hunger. The restlessness you feel is an intentional process. It is a sign that you are being shaken out of a deep sleep. When every material solution fails to fill the void, it forces us to look beyond the material. This is why God disturbs our comfort. It is an intentional intervention to prevent us from settling for a life that looks fine while our spirit is starving. You have to stop seeing the ache as an enemy to be silenced. If you start viewing it as a deliberate invitation, the shame begins to lift and the search can actually begin. Moving from shame to attention changes the nature of the feeling. It transforms from a source of guilt into a signal that you were made for something more substantial than your current routine. Consider the biology of thirst. Success, routine, and status act like salt water, accelerating internal dehydration. Jesus identifies this exact cycle. Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but he points to a source of life that actually quenches the soul. The invitation is to sit in the stillness and stop numbing the pain. Ask the hard question, what is my soul actually searching for? This persistent restlessness functions as a guide. It signals that your current reality is too small for what you were intended to become. That whisper that says there has to be more than this, you can trust it. You were right. There is.